Welcome into the Bobby Carpenter Show on this wonderful Tuesday afternoon, Slags. We are rolling. We are excited. We're on to OU, ready to roll forward and get some things going. How is this wonderful Tuesday, September 9th? My wife was trying to tell me that summer is over. I said summer is not over until the fall equinox, which is going to be happening here in a couple of weeks. So people can say what they want, but I go, you can't argue with science, and that's what the science says.
You know, old nature, Mother Nature says, not so fast, my friends. And we've had beautiful weather. I got a lot of stuff done at the farm this last weekend. It was nice. It's like perfect. I was wearing jeans and boots and a pearl snap and a cowboy hat. And I was just like, man, this is fantastic. And this week is beautiful. And the game on Saturday night is going to be beautiful.
Are you going to go to the Bobcats game?
I mean, why not?
Okay, that's what I figured.
I live in Columbus, Ohio now. It's like, hey, I can just walk over and say what's crapping and catch a game. Like, okay, let's do it.
I mean, it's not as convenient for you like being as close as you're going to be here shortly, but it is still pretty nice. So that's why I was curious.
I want to see the boys. I want to see the guys go play fast. And I am honestly, it's kind of like last night watching Donnie. I really got
D-Jack. Yeah, he looked good. How about Joe? You were never there with Jonah Jackson. But yeah, both starting guard on each team for the Buckeyes. How about that?
I know. You know, again, it's good just knowing Donnie and some of the stuff and just like being able to like strain and like body position a guy, just boom, and like hit a crease. Good game, two sides, two halves, right? It's like the first half dominated by the Bears, fourth quarter dominated by the Vikings. They ended up getting a win. But I just like that. Just like I like hearing all the stuff that's coming out about Emeka that we probably will get into, et cetera, et cetera. I like going to the games because I like watching our guys play fast and violent. And so, yeah, I'll be there, man. I'll be there.
That's good. All right. I'm glad you're going to be there. I'm excited about that. Looking back at the game, looking backward to look forward here. You know, you don't really – I mean, it was a glorified, kind of scrimmage-esque event. We're going to talk a little bit more about some of the bigger games, obviously, that happened this weekend, ones that were of consequence and everything that was going on out there. But, Julian goes out there and really has a day and looks crisp, looks confident. Ball was being thrown where it needed to be. And I think Schleich for him, like going now into a night game against the inferior opponent, but the talent gap is going to be much, much closer than it was with Grambling. And so when you get into that, just the confidence I think that it can instill in you about when you're going out there, when the window's tightened down, you've watched your guys catch the ball so much, you've had all of that success. I think you feel probably a lot better. And Ryan talked about that and how you can see his confidence growing, with each and every pass. And that's the guy that they expected to see out there. And, they could have probably even put more on his plate than they actually did. And so I'm excited, coming out of that and listening to him say those things yesterday, listening to him talk about that, then to transition to what is this week going to look like? What are you going to be able to get out there? I think that's pretty darn impressive and pretty exciting. We talked about that consecutive
18 and 19, man. I mean, that's
19. I think he threw 15 or 16 straight in a row, broke Will's record. And just what that does to your confidence and gets you going.
He's an accurate passer. He got the ball. I mean, honestly, he probably would have had that touchdown on the 19th if he didn't hesitate and just let it rip and trust what he saw. But it goes back to this, and I don't know where I heard it, but I was also thinking about this, and I should have mentioned it yesterday, but you couldn't ask for a better way of starting a season. One, because we got the win versus Texas. But when you think about it, you have the culmination of spring ball, knowing that you have the Texas game coming up. You're already scheming. You're already thinking about things that you want to do because you know what they do offensively and defensively. You know what you have coming back. You know what you lost. You're ramping up. All of your camp is ramping up for that one particular game, knowing that ramping up for that game is also going to allow you to have success for the season because it's good on good. So you had the Texas game, and the game by default, because of great defense and 1-5 on fourth downs for the University of Texas. The defense doing a great job. You didn't need to put too much on his plate. Not like, listen, if the game is different, you're going to have to let it rip, because what did Ryan Day say the entire week? Just get the win. Figure out a way to get the win. If they needed to do some other things, you would have seen more being put on his plate to get the win. But because you didn't have to, because of the way the game went, you didn't have to do it. Then you go to Grambling, and you know what you want to see from that. We saw his accuracy. They're running the football. They're already starting to change guys out in the middle of the second quarter, getting different looks of different fronts that they want to see together and see how that looks. And from top to bottom, the entire game, dudes are playing fast, hard, and violent.
Yep.
We're coaching. They executed at a high level, regardless of the depth. That's a win. Now, you get your first kind of night start in the friendly confines of Ohio Stadium versus a good Ohio Bobcat team that took Rutgers to the end. Offense was moving. That's why Schiano had to go for it on fourth down. That people were like, well, why isn't he kicking a field goal? He's like, I want to end it now. He ended it now. Then you have West Virginia that goes to Athens, and they beat them, a Big 12 team. Regardless, they won the MAC last year. They're coming into the shoe. So now I get a night game as a starter in Ohio Stadium. Then you are set up for a bye week to then go on the road to Washington. You couldn't have it set up and played out, though these things are done 10 years in advance for this opportunity at Julian Saint.
I like it, Schleiks. Getting gassed up, getting greased up, gas station ready is what you need those guys to be. We got a big show for you today. We're going to be joined, as we almost are virtually every Tuesday during the season. Occasionally there's some scheduling things we've got to work around, but we got Bill Bender here coming up, who's going to be a big part of the show as we go forward.
He's the best. Richard's the best.
Well, and it's great because he's a Bobcat alum, so I'm guessing that he will probably be at the game on Saturday. And, no cheering in the press box is, what we always have to figure out and what he's got to understand. And I know Bill will be a professional. He always is when it comes down to it. But Julian's been great. The offense is going to continue to grow. And then the question becomes, Schlegs, also with this, just being over there working out, talking to some of the guys and, the coaches, you're trying to figure out, like, how much do you show during these first couple of weeks? You didn't obviously need to show anything against Grambling. Like, that wasn't a big deal. You don't show much against them. Then against Ohio University, like, how much are you putting in? Like, you'll have a large percentage and chunk of your game plan at your disposal, but that doesn't mean you want to reveal it all. And how much do you really need? And I think some of that times that says to you, as a coach and a player, like, hey, how much do we need to show? How much do we need to reveal? Well, hopefully not that much. We should be able to go beat them and be good on good, and understand that we can run a lot of base stuff with some little sprinkles in there, but we don't need to be unveiling new packages this week. We can save some of that stuff up for the conference season and for some of these bigger games that are going to be happening. We're already to mid-September. I mean, within the next 5 to 6 weeks, we're going to start getting some games where, hey, it's going to be a matchup style game, and it'll be good on good, and results will matter.
Yeah. And you know what? The thing about the Grambling week is, can we execute our core fundamentals, offense and defensively, special team-wise as well, regardless of what they give us? Because, again, the calls are the calls, and it's up to dudes to execute the calls. And within all calls, there are always strengths and weaknesses versus all of them. Yep. So can you execute that, knowing what that is, based on what they do, regardless of who you play? Because the point being, when you have talent the way that you have talent at Ohio State, the number one job of a coordinator is to get out of the way of the talent, let the talent make plays.
Yep.
And they can do that by playing really fast. And it's not necessarily simplifying it. It is that it's simple enough that regardless of what we add to it, you know exactly what you need to do. And all you have to do is understand the concept and what part you are in there. And then we can disguise and do so many different things because conceptually you completely understand it. And now you're just getting reps on reps on reps of game reps as to why you do it. And so that's what you want in a game like this. And they showed some certain things that give some looks like, that we could have played a little faster. I think they had 4 under, 4 deep, rush 3 what does that look like? I think the guy actually got a first down, but it's like, hey, jump that because you can, because you got help over the top. It's a coaching thing, right? They're like, hey, remember, you got this over top. You can jump that, or I can expand to that faster. Don't have your eyes in the backfield. Like, pick it up. If he's coming in, go jump it, right? Because guess what? You're not worried about if he goes to the top because you got over the top help.
Absolutely.
So, those are great things.
We got Bill coming up here in a second, but before we get to him, Schlegs, your guy, Mr. Richard Bender, I want to throw this up because it's ironic. You have Ohio State playing Texas, Oklahoma playing Michigan, the rivals versus the rivals. Buckeyes got it done. Michigan didn't get it done. One was at home, one was on the road, and I get that. Bryce Underwood didn't look as good as I think people may have hoped. And that's part of the learning curve for a young quarterback on the road. He did show some athleticism, but you got the guy, it's 3rd and 6, and they're handing the ball off to the running back. Like, this is the guy that you brought in here and gave all this money to. Like, let's let him go a little bit. I'm not saying be crazy and reckless, but I found it ironic. Texas and Oklahoma are kind of tethered at the hip. They've got Red River. Ohio State, Michigan have the game. They had what you call the old switcheroo Schlegs, wife swapping, little Raising Arizona, wife swapping. And, Ohio State got it done and Michigan didn't. So it was a split decision.
I'll say this, like, they came out first play of the second half and it's like, all right, defensively, Oklahoma, like, let's try to get a stop. Let's get some momentum, and boom, 75-yard touchdown. And you're like, oh, they're in it. And it was just they also were without their tight end, which is in a good on good game. Like, you got to have your alphas out there. But that even in this, where are you going to go from week 1 to week 2 to week 3 to week 4? Like, how are you going to continue to grow? Still a freshman quarterback.
Yep.
I mean, straight up true freshman quarterback, like literally was in high school. And it's, again, I try to be as unbiased, but I'm as realistic as anybody can be.
You and J-Lo, Schlegs, you're both real.
Yeah, just real. To me, it's like, where is the growth? What do they want their identity to be? Utilizing him. Because there were some errant throws. And we're talking about the accuracy of Julian saying, and that's not necessarily their run.
He's a true freshman. Like,
that's what I'm saying. So, guys, he's going to have these things.
Yep.
It's going to happen.
That's why anybody like paying these guys as true freshmen, like, there's going to be some bumps in the road as you're going with it. But the good news is we got our guy Bill Bender coming up.
Yes,
he's going to talk about some of those bumps in the road, not those bumps on the table, Schleg, that you and Rick James are diving into. Especially after a big week. FanDuel's getting you ready for the NFL season with an offer you don't want to miss. We've got week 1 all in the books, but new customers, they can bet just $5 still and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet $5 if it wins, and unlock $300 in bonus bets all across the app. You can build parlays, bet player props, ride the live lines, whatever your style, FanDuel has you covered. The NFL season, it is here. We got week 1 done, and we're only a couple days away from week 2. The only question is, are you ready? Visit FanDuel.com/BigPlay to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Must be 21 older in Ohio or must be 21 older in Pennsylvania. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issue is non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Just call 1-800-GAMBLER. Bill Bender up next.
Creative, experience, results. That's what drives growth. That's what builds brands. That's Lake Spur Marketing, a full-service agency built on trust, strategy, and performance, not fluff. From bold strategies to flawless execution, every campaign is rooted in smart planning and driven by clear goals. We don't chase clicks. We build partnerships. We show up, dig in, and deliver every single time. Lake Spur Marketing. The proof is in our partners.
All right, we got our guy, Bill Bender, here with us of the Sporting News, fresh out of the basement, drank a ton of coffee. He's ready to go. It's a big week for him because his Bobcats have a big one here in Columbus, Ohio. Pretty excited about that moving forward. But looking back, Bill, on last week, your Bobcats got a huge win. We can even start right there against West Virginia. Couldn't quite kick the door in against Rutgers the week before. But despite 3 interceptions in the second half, the Bobcats are able to reign supreme.
Yeah, and then I'm going to put the Packers helmet on for this segment, if you don't mind. If you want me to pull that off the shelf and bring that down after
You love that.
watching Micah Parsons over the weekend. It was a fun weekend. Bobcats had a huge win, and from all accounts, I talked to a couple people that went. Sounded like Peden Stadium was rocking. Defense came up with some big plays. They've got a good linebacker group. Parker Navarro's the guy that will have Ohio State's attention this week. He's very mobile, very fast, and from a personal level, I was at Ohio University. I was a sophomore when they played Ohio State in 1999. And as I told you guys, lived with a couple football players, got to know several of them. And they were up there at the shoe. And I was just looking at the box score before I came on. It was, it was 10-3 at one point. Chad Brinker, we know him now.
Was Titans, he the GM for Tennessee?
Yeah, Titans guy. He scored a touchdown in the first half. Jamel Patterson scored one in the second half. And, had some really good players, Matt Spittler is a linebacker. He's from Watterson. I think a lot of those guys are going to the game on Saturday or coming and having a little bit of a reunion of sorts. And they were a fun group to be around, that Ohio University team that went up there. Ohio State, of course, won. But for me, anytime this is going to sound a little arrogant. I feel like we're the one when we go to the shoe out of all the Ohio MAC schools, it generates the biggest reaction. That could be wrong. Miami and Toledo might disagree.
Well, I will say this. I think there's probably the largest contingent of OU alums that live in Columbus and maybe that are from here. If you live in Columbus and you don't want to be so close to school, then you go to Athens. It's a little further away and it's still, it's drivable and it's still in the state. So I think that's probably the reason for that. And for a long time, Bill, as you know, when you went to OU, they weren't great at football, but the last 20 years have been a pretty darn good situation for them with how they've been able to play and what they've been able to do. So we've got a big one here coming up against Ohio State this weekend. Another huge upset, which we always talk like, are these games going to be good? We hope so. They were, I think, a double-digit dog with South Florida heading into the Swamp, and Alex Golish, a Dublin native and Ohio State alum, has worked his way through the coaching ranks and a young coach and pulls up a big upset 2 weeks in a row. You could argue that they have the two best wins of any school in all of FBS with beat down at Boise State and a win in the Swamp over 13 Florida. I mean, the South Florida Bulls look like they might be for real.
Yeah. So he's from Scioto, right?
Yeah.
Scioto. Yeah. So, I mean, what a great 2 weeks for them. And Florida self-destructed a little bit, 11 penalties, 103 yards, a positively brutal day for the Gators. Couldn't close with the two pass plays in the second half. And now Alex Golish becomes this, not only with South Florida in a potential playoff run, regardless of what happens against the Hurricanes on Saturday. They play Miami. Imagine that schedule. Boise State, Florida, Miami, and a chance to go 3-0 before you get into the American Conference where Tulane and Navy are going to have something to say. So, I mean, they have certainly been the story of the first 2 weeks, ranked, and a great chance for them to do that. And it kind of ties what we were talking about with Ohio and Ohio State. The most glaring thing for Florida, if you coach at Florida, Miami, or Florida State, you cannot lose to an in-state G5 school. Right. I mean, it just amplifies everything with the hot seat around Billy Napier.
Well, I'm gonna go. I want to stay on where you are. What do we learn? And then I want to get into the Big Ten. What do we learn from, SMU falling to Baylor, LSU kind of sluggish versus La Tech, Georgia beating Austin P, right? Like 28-6, Clemson down 16-3 at half, Arizona State losing to Mississippi State. These ranked teams, and then Florida losing to, USF. Like, what is that saying to you on a national landscape on a week where there wasn't a ton of good-on-good matchups, but we're still having upsets in college football week 2?
Yeah, some of it's trusting the quarterback, and this is rather DJ Lagway's one example. They trusted him maybe a little too much, probably run the ball, milk some of that clock off. But, I think Iowa losing to Iowa State, Bobby called that. He knew that game was going to be under 20 each way, but not being able to generate a passing attack. They rank 130th in the country in pass offense. And that was at some point, guys, you got to think, I mean, when do they move on? I mean, if I'm an Iowa fan, I'm sitting there watching what Illinois is doing. That was eye-opening to me. Illinois Duke, that was a low spread. Wasn't sure if Illinois was going to go down there and win. knowing what Darian Mensah did the week before, and they just closed 17 points in the fourth quarter. And Brett Bielema is an Iowa grad, by the way. So you can't tell me it can't be done at these places. And Illinois looks really good heading into a game against Indiana here in a couple weeks.
So let's stay on that Iowa game. You mentioned Kirk Ferentz. He's going to break Woody's record this year for conference wins in the Big Ten. I mean, do you think this is it for him? I mean, it's crazy because Iowa State is ranked, top 20 team. They obviously already beat Kansas State. And you go into their place and you lose 16-13. I mean, you lose on a field goal at the end of the game or 13-10. I mean, it's a tight game. But it just feels like you said, Bill, like it's almost run its course, despite the fact that they've never really been bad. Like they're pretty good every single year.
And they always win one against a playoff contender, national title contender type team that kind of ensures the job security. I mean, when you look down at Kirk's record, you'd be like, how did they win 9 games that year? Or how did they 8 or 9 games? They beat Ohio State. It's been several years at this point, but they beat Ohio State at home one year during Buckeyes trying to make a playoff run, beat Michigan at home in 16. So they've pulled out those wins. They've made life difficult for Penn State in certain games, but it's just that passing offense to me. You bring in Mark Gronowski, a guy that's played a ton of football at the FCS level, a ton of passing yards at the FCS level, and they really can't complete a pass. Now, Iowa State, credit to them, they managed the game. They set it up for their kicker. Matt Campbell that's the first time in like 15 years that Iowa State had beat Iowa in back-to-back seasons, and the Big 12's looking rough as a whole. I know Schlegg's asking me about SMU Baylor. That was a big win for Baylor. But right now, that's looking like a one-bid league, and it's looking like Iowa State and maybe Utah. Utah's played well early in the year. Those could be the teams to watch.
Hey, let me ask you this. What did we learn from the Big Ten in this? I mean, you had a lot of like lopsided victories, but in those you can still get something out of them. What did you learn this weekend from somebody in the Big Ten that you mentioned the Illinois Duke game? That was impressive, the way that Illinois went in there. You saw a little bit of what Michigan is right now, not necessarily where they could be, but where they are right now, because OU really controlled that, had some errors themselves. It could have been a different ball game, not as close. But then you had the Oregon-Oklahoma State. What game piqued your interest as, oh, this team is really for real, or this team is just straight up terrible and I had no idea they're going to be that bad?
Well, let's talk about the Michigan-Oklahoma game. I think one of the themes of the weekend to me is, do you trust your quarterback or not?
Yep.
And I don't think Michigan trust Bryce yet. He's a freshman. I get that. But I looked up a couple stats today, and they're Pro Football Focus. If you look at passes of 10 yards or more, Bryce Underwood is 7 of 19. That's like 37% through 2 games. I felt like they played a little too conservative to try to win on the road, where John Mateer in Oklahoma trusted Mateer to make the throws in crunch time. He had a huge third down throw that led to an Oklahoma touchdown. And granted, Mateer's played a lot more football. But on that note, Julian Sayin through 2 games, and I understand you go from Texas to play in Grambling, 6 of 9, 236 yards, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions when throwing the ball 10 yards or more. And I understand the competition last week, but one of the things from that Texas game is Ryan Day said we could have opened it up a little bit. They didn't have to, but that tells me, even against Grambling and probably against the Bobcats a little bit this week, that we're going to see Julian Sayin open it up and let it go. When you have those kind of numbers, why not?
Are you surprised that they didn't try to put more on Bryce Underwood's plate? I mean, they're running the ball on 3rd and 6, which I know Michigan wants to line up and pound the rock. That's kind of their MO, but you've got this guy back there, Bill, in this new era that you've allocated a lot of resources towards, and he's supposed to be really good. And I think he's a very good athlete. I think he's going to end up being a pretty good quarterback. Like, he showed some flashes. He's a true freshman. But were you surprised they didn't try? It didn't seem like they were trying to kind of open it up to see what he could do.
Well, and I think they had this debate with J.J. McCarthy, which, full confession, I fell asleep assuming that the Bears were winning and it was over, and McCarthy leads a comeback last night.
Hey, we had 2 like that, Bill, Saturday or Sunday and Monday night.
I stayed up Sunday, couldn't make it up Monday. I did stay up and watch the Bills win, which was wild. But point being, yeah, I think you're right. Michigan will probably have to look at a little bit, what do we want to do philosophically? If we can't maul people like they did with Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards, then you are going to have to open it up. And a 5-star quarterback, how long are they going to want to hand off? So with Chip Lindsey coming in, you wonder if they run tempo. And for those that say, well, there's a certain way you have to do things. I was thinking about this with Ohio State. Think about how their offense has evolved from when Urban Meyer got there, where they were running still power football. I mean, Carlos Hyde's the guy that comes to mind. You were pounding it up the middle with him, and then you evolved more and more into this like wide open offense with the receivers that they've produced. Mecca, by the way, got me a fantasy football win. Thank you very much. So, what I'm saying is their offense evolves, and it does evolve even in the Big Ten, where we grew up with 3 yards in a cloud of dust, but that's no longer the case anymore.
Hey, are we hitting the break? Because I got so much more because we got to get into week 3.
Good. We'll take a quick break here with Bill. We're going to press a pause. We're going to give him time to breathe, give you time to breathe, tell you about our friends over at Export. Listen, if you want to get your mouth right, you want to protect yourself, parents and athletes, protect what matters most with Export mouth guards, trusted by professional athletes and designed by NHL team dentists. Export mouth guards are scientifically tested to help absorb those high-impact hits, protecting both your teeth and your brain. Export mouth guards. 3 layers of advanced protection, including a patented use of carbon fiber. They 3D print that bad boy right to your grill for more protection, better performance, max comfort, and clear communication, so you can focus on your game, not your gear. Don't take chances with your safety. Do what Schlegs and I did. Go to exportguards.com/Bobby. Save 15% on your order. Export, protect what matters most. And if it's not your mouth, your brain, protect your kids. Go check them out at exportguards.com/Bobby. More Bill Bender coming up next. All right, back in here with our guy, Bill Bender. Schlegs, I will let you take the first question since you said you had a lot of stuff fired up and you want to get off your chest. So
I just wanted to go into the next week, Bob. Like, there's so many cool little things. Hey, Bill, we got Big Ten schedule.
Before we go any further, I do, because he touched on that Illinois Duke game, which it was like a 1-possession game going to half. I think it was 14-10, maybe 13-10. I mean, it was a tight game when you're looking at it. Yeah, 13-14, right there, 1 point. And all of a sudden in the second half, I mean, Illinois opened it up. And Manny Diaz, that defense looked pretty good in the first half. 3-4 sacks, getting after Altmaier. And then that switch flipped, and it seemed like that was a really big win for Illinois, given the fact that Duke, while they may not have been ranked, I think a lot of people thought they were one of the teams that could compete in the ACC and be a fringe team right there. And Illinois on the road, took them behind the woodshed in the second half.
Really did. And, again, that's an experienced team on both sides. It was a lot made in the offseason about how many starters they have coming back. And that's the value of Luke Altmaier, 3-year starter on the road. Duke came out, had a really good first drive, but I mean, that's that closer gene. And I like their defense. I think Gabe Jacas on that side of the ball, he's very disruptive. They took care of business. And again, they play Western Michigan this weekend, so they'll win that one. And then it sets up what should be a fantastic game against Indiana. Those two teams, Indiana kind of got their act together with Fernando Mendoza. They have good pieces on defense. I never thought I would say, in late September, a must-watch football game would be Indiana-Illinois 1 week, well, no less 1 week after. One of the games I'm excited about this weekend is Vanderbilt-South Carolina with the quarterbacks. I mean, it must be 2025 .
Yeah, it's crazy.
It is. Crazy. I want to get one more here about last week as we move forward, Bill, because looking at this, you got Clemson, Georgia Tech this week, and we've watched Clemson. They're 1-1, but I mean, they looked rough against Troy. They end up pulling it out, make some plays there. What is your concern level with Clemson here heading into this week against a Georgia Tech team that's pretty good, and Haynes King is going to force you to beat him?
Yeah, Haynes King, obviously, if his health is one of the things, had a lower body injury, didn't play against Gardner Webb, but if I would imagine he would be on the field for this game, and it's a big one. On the other side, Clemson, I mean, you guys know this as former players more than I ever could, but I thought there was a little bit of a hangover effect. They lose to the LSU. That was a physical game. And then Troy comes down and scores right away. Cade had a really bad pick six. And then you have the rain delay. There was a lot of that last weekend, a lot of games that had weather delays, especially in the South. So they got their act together. But, I mean, this is a prove-it game for Clemson in the ACC, because what I thought of them 2 weeks ago as maybe being a little bit head and shoulders over everybody else in the ACC has changed, because Miami's there. Florida State's there. Georgia Tech has an opportunity here to win a huge game and would give Clemson a second September loss, which seemed impossible coming into the season, given what they had coming back.
Yep. And everybody thought that they were going to be one of the favorites to win a national championship. I still don't understand the FPI things and something I see it out there about. I don't even know how they come up with that crap. But let's talk about this. Wisconsin at Alabama.
Ooh.
Huge for Fick. Alabama's struggled, right? Kind of where they are. Again, Fick, quarterback issue, playing good defense. What are you thinking about this? I mean, is this something that like he needs to not necessarily win the game, but like make a statement that they're there or potentially win it? Like what's one of his biggest wins? Like does he have to show that this weekend when he goes on the road to Alabama?
I think they need to be closer than they were last year when it was 42-17 and Jalen Milroe was a problem for Wisconsin in that game. Now with Ty Simpson, can they get after them a little bit? And, from a perception standpoint, one of the things I've tracked the first 2 weeks is the Power Four records against each other. And the Big Ten, Bobby, you had the graphic up earlier with Ohio State beating Texas, Oklahoma beating Michigan. This is the third head-to-head game between the SEC and the Big Ten. The SEC is 8-2 against Power Four conferences right now. And it's the two losses are very visible, no doubt. Obviously, Texas and Alabama against Florida State. But they've won all those kind of hidden games. Missouri, Kansas, Vanderbilt, Virginia Tech. I can't believe I said Vanderbilt on here 3 times. I think my editor's paying me to do that. But it's definitely a big game for the Big Ten, which is 5-3 in those games. They haven't had an embarrassing loss, in my opinion, but this is one where I don't think Wisconsin can get blown out.
Yeah, it's going to be. It feels like it's a big one, and for Alabama and Kalen DeBoer, it's obviously huge.
Huge.
I mean, we talked about it for Fick, and I think it would be big if they keep this thing close, play well, but. I mean, how big is this for Kalen DeBoer? I mean, realistically, Bill, we talk about, the hot seat and people, potentially getting fired and, start buyouts. Whenever people start talking about the structure of your buyout, Bill, that came from someone with knowledge. Like that was leaked out and it's like, oh, it's 70, but it's only like 20% in the first year. And then it's, pay as you go for the next 7 or 8 years. So it's really not that bad. Those things are always intentional. And listen, you used to watch Urban Meyer when he left Florida, like maybe they're back, maybe they're not. We saw, Sark in between him and Mac Brown at Texas, what that looked like. I mean, there's a lot of these programs that you can wonder for a while if you don't get it figured out. And I don't know if Kalen's the right fit for Alabama, but it seems like there is a large movement down there that maybe doesn't want to see if he is.
Well, I think I don't hesitate to call it Judgment Day, but Georgia game will be huge. And, I had a writer tell me a story about when Georgia had the blackout years ago and Alabama played them on the road. And I think it was on Halloween or around Halloween and Alabama just thumped them. And again, that's what Alabama does. That's what Georgia does. That's what Ohio State does. They go into venues and they take other programs out of the game. They take your crowd out of the game. They win that way. And I mean, that's the next big road test for Kalen DeBoer. I mean, we can look at it from the analyst, from the former players, from the fans. There was a fan last week that I believe wanted to win the lottery or Powerball and then buy Alabama a new coach. I mean, that's what you sign up for in places like that. So I think it's going to be quiet over the next couple of weeks till they play Georgia. And if that's eye-opening, then these contract talks and those kind of things and Kalen DeBoer's future will certainly come into the limelight. They have to play better in SEC road games.
Hey, I'm going to give you this, Bill. I'm going to give you 3 options on the national landscape. Whatever game you want to talk about, Miami, USF, Notre Dame, Texas A&M, Georgia at Tennessee. Take one and take it.
Notre Dame, Texas A&M, big
Do
game
it.
for the Irish. Right. I mean, you teed it up. So Jeremiah Love, is he going to get the ball?
Yeah.
Are they going to give him the ball in this game? Is there something wrong with him? What's going on there? CJ Carr in his second start after a week off to maybe catch your breath after, like we talked about last week, guys, that the Miami loss wasn't anything flagrant. They just got beat at the end of the game. Now, can't afford to lose to this Texas A&M team with Marcel Reed. They run the football well. They've got a good defense. Mike Elko's another good coach, obviously. So the coaching matchup between Mike Elko, Marcus Freeman, elite. If Notre Dame loses, man, how do you claw back into the playoff picture if you're 0-2 and you look at their schedule, and other than
terrible.
maybe like USC, it isn't all that great.
Yeah, it can be a little rough. They've got to find a way to get this win. The good news is they've got it at home. And Bill, I think the bye week after that loss was probably good for them. Take a week back, step back. You've got a young quarterback, did some really good things in the second half, especially in the fourth quarter, some learning opportunities there. We call them some growth opportunities, Bill. Stay positive with this. But it'll be interesting to see what Marcus Freeman ultimately has there, as that game is going to be a NBC kickoff in the evening. Ohio State going to be a Peacock affair, Bill. So we've got that going for us, the dueling NBC broadcasts towards the end of the season, or towards the end of Saturday night, if you will. We appreciate your time, sir. Thank you so much for joining us, and look forward to catching up with you again next week.
Always a pleasure, guys. Thanks for having me. Talk to you next week.
See you,
There's
Richard.
our guy, Bill Bender, Sporting News. Go check out his stuff. He do a great job over there. Does a great job covering all of college football and the NFL for that matter. I want to check out our friends over at Backer. It's getting that time of the year, folks. It's going to be a little chilly. There will be a little nip in the air, and so it's bckr.com is where you want to go for the cold, the wind, the rain, all the gear with all the features that you want, your favorite teams, your favorite stuff. It's got all the features that you need. I mean, heck, bring the windbreaker to the game. If you don't need it, there's a little pocket. You can roll that thing up, tuck it in there, carabiner, and just slap it right on your hip. Look at that handsome dude right there. Gosh.
Good way of hiding those nipple rings right there.
Absolutely.
Backer.
Whatever it takes. Go to bckr.com. That's backer, bckr.com. Use promo code all caps Bobby for free expedited shipping. Again, that's bckr.com. Go check it out. We got our headlines coming up next on the Bobby Carpenter Show.
Creative, experience, results. That's what drives growth. That's what builds brands. That's Lake Spur Marketing, a full-service agency built on trust, strategy, and performance, not fluff. From bold strategies to flawless execution, every campaign is rooted in smart planning and driven by clear goals. We don't chase clicks. We build partnerships. We show up, dig in, and deliver every single time. Lake Spur Marketing. The proof is in our partners.
All right, welcome back in the Bobby Carpenter Show. It's our headlines brought to you by our friends over at Lake Spur Marketing. They've got 100+ years of experience bringing you the best stuff around. They help you choose the marketing strategies, the tools, the products, everything, Schlegs, that is right for your business. They're going to shield you from the cold callers. They always want to pitch you the newest, latest, and greatest. Lake Spur, leave the marketing to them so you can do what you do best, which is run your business. They're going to eliminate waste and get the most out of your marketing budget. Trust the experts. Trust Lake Spur Marketing. The proof is in their partners. Visit lakespurmarketing.com today. All right, Schlegs, we got some new stuff that we're going to be trying out here. We've got a lift it or leave it segment that we're going to start working in. I want to maybe work in one of those questions today if we have some time. But first, talk about Baker or Emeka Egbuka. Bill said he won him his fantasy league. He had two nice touchdowns in the game, one to seal up the game for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers over the Atlanta Falcons. Now, Atlanta had a chance to kick a field goal and tie it at the end. They ultimately missed it. If you could pull that up there, Pat, the Baker on Emeka Egbuka. And so we're getting the audio worked out here to kind of have a sound, because Baker Mayfield, former Browns quarterback, has really done a good job finding a home in Tampa, and he's leading them, Schlegs, I think, to what's going to be a playoff team, and he's replacing Godwin right now. And so they've got some really talented receivers down there, but he's trying to take that next step. and make that evolution for him. And you know what's amazing? Here it is. We'll hear it straight from the horse's mouth with Baker Mayfield.
I've never heard of a rookie being as hyped as him, and then for week one, just immediately to live up to that hype.
Yeah.
It's wild. Tell me what it was like seeing him out there getting it done.
He's so good. He really is. Just all the natural things that you try and get receivers to do, it just comes easy to him. And you combine that with how intelligent he is, his football IQ. It's a dangerous combo that he's got working for him. But the lights will never be too bright for him. I mean, his last real football game was in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, national champion. So he goes from that to playing his week one game in the NFL, scoring 2 touchdowns. I don't think you can draw up a better debut for him.
Absolutely. Gosh, Baker had some great comments there, Schlegs. It's the intelligence that already studies how hard he works.
Yeah. And I don't know why I got a cough. Hang on. I'm going to cough.
It's okay. There you go. Cough it out, Schlegs. Look at him, folks. Look at that face.
Yeah, no. I did.
He's back. He's done.
No, I had a cold and I got like some fluid, the ones, and I've been feeling good. I'm trying to train it out of my body. But the thing about Emeka, and it was somebody's like, I can't believe you got this rookie. Remember, I always told you guys, leadership has no age. The NFL, they don't care if you're a rookie or you're a vet. Like, how are you adding value? And to go out there, like in the huddle, be able to say, hey, listen, like I'm like run this play because I'm gonna hit this post. And it's not like just supreme confidence. It's such a high football IQ and understanding of where we are in the game and understanding of what they're doing conceptually on the back end that I know this is going to work because of this. And then you go and deliver. Like, that's what you want. And Emeka's been that from the first time that we heard Baker Mayfield talk about him when he got there, all through camp and into the first game. And he's a difference maker. And he's only going to make Mike Evans better there this year because he's not going to have to do it by himself. Absolutely. So it's like, what a great way of adding value. And I would say this, like, our guys are going to the NFL ready because they're also being coached by former NFL players and NFL coaches. And the concepts they're running are NFL-esque. Why they're adding value quickly.
Buckeyes. There you go, Schleich. And then one other last headline, your guy from Dallas, Texas, linebacker Riley Pettijohn got silver bullet of the game. He had the fumble, the scoop and score, number of tackles, got in there a ton. It was great to see the young buck getting in there. And everybody's like, why? They got to play him more. I'm like, well, who are you going to play him over? Like Sonny, Arvell, we've talked about them. Peyton Pierce, like he was out there. He's doing good things. He's going to get some action, but you're not going to play him over top of those guys. But I'd love to see Riley, when he gets his opportunity, go make a little splash.
Yeah, and again, we all have a role to play. And he had a really good form tackle. Somebody mentioned that to me. I was like, yeah, I love that. I stood there, drive for 5. Keep your feet hot. But there's going to be opportunities on special teams. You never know when you're going to be called upon. Like, you got to be ready to go. And the good thing is that we're seeing the depth. And just because you guys see the depth in a game, like they're out practice all week and they're doing those things. But who are you going to play them? You going to play them in front of Veli? You going to play them in front of Sonny? Like, so there's only 11 dudes on the field.
Only 11 dudes, Schlegs. Who are you taking off if you're going to put one on? That's always a question that ends our headlines. Brought to you by our friends over at Lake Spur. Coming up next, we got our tailgate talk with a couple good questions in there we're going to throw out. So stay locked in here on the Bobby Carpenter Show. Welcome back in the Bobby Carpenter Show. If you're watching online, please like, subscribe, leave your questions, comments. We appreciate all. Share with others as we continue to try to grow this thing and make it as robust as we possibly can, Schlegs. And it's I've been growing here in the season. This is the second full year we've been doing it on a daily basis. So we appreciate all the support. One of the questions was coming from Emily Schlegs. You threw it up there. And I always take this for granted. It says, Emily, Bobby, how did you get the name The General? That came from my guy, Pat McAfee, all the way back during COVID, Schlegs. During 2020, there was a consensus, there was a group of folks that they had contacted, that some people I know had contacted And we're trying to put some pressure on the presidents of the different universities and saying that, hey, listen, the ACC is playing, the SEC is playing. There's a way to do this safely. And
Yep, I
so
remember this.
Pat said, you are the general of the Big Ten Army, leading them back to their return to play. And so henceforth, from that point on, the general was born. And I even, Schlegs, hold on if I can. Here we go.
Break it out.
I even got this. For my time with Pat, so we could be ready to go. Old school style. I had some stars on there, but that's stolen valor since I'm not actually even military ready at all, so I couldn't put those on. But yeah, it's pretty heavy. It's kind of like an authentic one.
You should have done it with like 10 stars on there just to make it.
Yeah, no, I'm not. It came with 3.
Or just make it with Buckeye leaves. You just put Buckeye leaves on.
Yeah, I guess I could have this. It's Phil Jason. I thought Beam came out with it. Well, Beam heard about it from Pat, and then that's when it all started when we were working together. So that was part of that that all went out there. And someone asked earlier about getting a player on, players during the season. I've worked on, I've talked. It's tough to find the right guy to be able to do it on a weekly basis, and someone that feels comfortable with us, someone that I feel comfortable putting out just because there's a lot of scrutiny that comes with it, and making sure, Schlegs, that they're going to always say the right thing, because you never want to put them in a bad situation where while people might say, oh, it's great if they're talking about your show and guys are making headlines. That's not the objective or the goal for this. So I'm still working through it. There might be someone I can maybe throw on here, but it's got to be someone that's got a lot of personality, can talk about a lot of stuff, and also make sure that you're saying, like, being the best representation. And it's not easy. A lot of these guys are harder. I'm not saying that it's easy, but I'm like, experience helps. So you get practice at it, but learning on the job isn't always the easiest thing either.
No. And you guys had some other great questions in there where somebody was talking about punt return, Bob, and I want to answer that because, like, guys, you can do punt return in a variety of different ways. And somebody was mentioning how, Bob, when you and I played, it was Santonio and Teddy were back there. It's all predicated upon what they want to do from their punt scheme. And normally what you do is you do keep one back there because that's what the NFL does. And why do you do that? Because they want to put it into the boundary, so you double the gunner into their boundary, so you got a wider field. But we did that certain times under Tressing. Could you do that? Like Bryson Rogers looked really good back there. Could you have Bryson and Brandon and be able to do that and then still block it up? Sure, you can. But what is it they want to do? Doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. Something they probably talk about. But you could have it in the bag if that's something that you want to do. So they're just not ready to do it yet. You might see it this weekend. I don't know. But those are good questions. Like, just so you guys know, they talk about those things.
Oh, yeah. That's all about it. I mean, you get some interesting conversations, and it's all like going through the Woody every day and talking to coaches and players, and things you hear, the things you glean, Schlegs, are always helpful, and try to kind of share what we can, and make sure that everybody's informed and having a good time and being knowledgeable about the program. So Buckeyes coming up next, we will wrap up the program with the parting thoughts of Mr. Anthony Schlegel.
Creative, experience, results. That's what drives growth. That's what builds brands. That's Lake Spur Marketing, a full-service agency built on trust, strategy, and performance, not fluff. From bold strategies to flawless execution, every campaign is rooted in smart planning and driven by clear goals. We don't chase clicks. We build partnerships. We show up, dig in, and deliver every single time. Lake Spur Marketing. The proof is in our partners.
All right, Schlegs, you got a minute or so.
Hey, were you able to put that up there, Pat?
There it is.
Did he put it up there? Yeah, awesome. And they did this, and I forgot what it was, but it was an invitation. You just had a bunch of Buckeye football players that did it last year, and I just remembered a lot of the scrutiny of these guys.
I think it was through the walk, maybe.
Oh, yeah. It's over there by the business school, I believe.
No, but it's through the walk, I think, is the foundation is who helped put this on, I believe.
Well, it was just cool because I actually hit up Sonny this morning. I'm like, hey, is it true that you got baptized last night? He's like, yes. I was like, dude, we coach these guys on a daily basis, and And it's more than football and being able to walk through their life's journey and just being able to be there and see Riley and Peyton and TJ and Sonny and making this, profession of faith publicly within the scrutiny of that comes with being Ohio State or the Block O guy for the team. Just proud of them. I'm just proud of them. I was like, hey, man, love you. Awesome. My brother in Christ. It's fantastic what they're doing. These are great young men and proud to be a Buckeye.
Maybe some former players could fill in during the season. I could maybe get Troy on here, and we've had Maurice on before. We could maybe get some other guys.
Oh, I like that.
To
That's a
pop
good
on as
idea,
well.
guys.
We got AJ through here, but yeah, we have JP. Josh has been pretty busy. They just had a kid, and he's been traveling a lot. So there's a lot of other guys. Besides what you said was awesome. It'd be great. So we'll see what we can get going here and try to figure it out. But we've got a big show coming up tomorrow with AJ, and then we got our guy, Mr. Ben Stevens, on Thursday. So Buckeyes, stay locked in here for the Bobby Carpenter Show.